I've been looking at analysts actually lately, and there's one particular analyst that is singing an interesting song. And that song is that we are almost at the end of the bull market. That is to say, that Bitcoin is nearing the top, if not already at the top. That, in fact, this dip that we're experiencing now is actually, it's gone farther than a simple correction and is in fact on the way down. And he expressed that the loss of Bitcoin dominance is a key factor. And he also mentioned that the recent sort of recovery, sort of quote unquote, was quite weak and was more tantamount to a relief rally rather than an actual comeback, which is quite interesting. He also pointed out that if you look at the dates and times and cycles, etc., that we're now about 4 years away from the last top, which is fine, which is true. But in my opinion, I'm not sure if we're working exactly on time this time, because if you remember, the pump started a little bit earlier than it should have because of institutional involvement. We have a slightly different or skewed process or cycle this year. So the charts aren't matching exactly as they should. That having been said, it would make sense because it's been about 4 years since the previous all-time high. We did reach it a little bit high, earlier, which, if anything, actually supports the idea of the top having already passed. Of course, we haven't had an actual alt season yet, which suggests that that is actually either upon us already or is very, very imminent. The takeaway I got from that, of course, is that if that were to be the case, I believe that we still have at least one more pump phase to go. And that pump phase, in my opinion, would be the euphoric, parabolic, sort of Nike tick phase where things just go absolutely insane before the big crash. And I'm talking about Bitcoin. So if that were to happen, the response from the alts is going to be even more vertical because many of these alts are still 70, 80% down, some 90%. Even the likes of Kronos, which pumped pretty hard in the last few days, is still, 60% down? So there's still at least a 2.5x or so from there. Across the road. So we're in for some epic moves in the next coming weeks. Not financial advice, your own research. Now, the funny part is, or maybe not the funny part, the interesting part is that same analyst did say that XRP is still yet to perform the parabolic move that has been expected. So even though they think that the cycle is nearing an end, they are still expecting a gigantic move from XRP. And I tend to agree. Again, I see people getting a little bit tired now, a little bit weary of waiting. Some people are even looking at some of the moves from Crow and some of the other ones lately, even Balina, making a bit of a move in the last few days. And some are moving across, but realize that manipulation is in full swing. Things aren't exactly how they used to be. We have bigger fish swimming in the sea now. We have whales 100 times larger than we had last cycle in the name of BlackRock, Fidelity, and other such entities. I've even seen some, I don't know, I would call it controlled FUD come out that seem to be from people who are sort of pro XRP, talking about how, the government didn't pick XRP or the XRP ledger for something that they did on other blockchains, yada, yada, yada. None of these things matter, man. If you just look at what's happening on the ground, the deals that are being made by Ripple, the people who are coming onto the XRP ledger, if you just familiarize yourself with the XRP ledger itself, right, and you learn how to look on the ledger for activity, then you don't have to rely on, news, on social media, or even mainstream media, or what have you. You can do your own research. Just learn how to look on the ledger, learn how to see and spot activity and signals, and then you'd know that there's a lot going on the ledger. A lot of companies doing the whole sort of long-term strategy stuff by accumulating now and locking it up somewhere, parking it somewhere in places like Flare, even on Coinbase, Wrapped, XRP, lots of activity going on there with passive income and stuff. And now with the update on the XRP ledger that allows you to use escrow and stuff to lock things up yourself, man, there's a lot happening. Long-term stuff like, paying salaries. Sorry, I'm crossing a lot of roads today. Paying salaries in XRP. Just, I want to say global domination, but that rubs people off the wrong way. But, national takeover, at least in America, of the financial infrastructure by the likes of Ripple, and the inevitable march into the new era of finance and payments and all that sort of stuff. That's what we're talking about, not the short-term, 25% pump by a token, 100% pump here and there. I'm talking about the financial paradigm shift. That's what we're concerned about when we talk about XRP. Anyway, I'm not gonna lie though, obviously temporary money is good too. Which is why I'm always quite happy when some of my smaller alts also do well. And some of them are doing very, very well in the last month or so. So shout out to that. Yep, the weather's changed. I think autumn is upon us, even though we're still in August, and August counts as summer in this country. But something's happening with the weather, guys. And things aren't as they should be. So we're experiencing some weather fluctuations here and there. But I'm glad actually to see some rain, because it's been pretty dry. This summer has been quite dry. So I'm actually quite pleased that it's raining. It's going to be raining in an hour or so. So hopefully my walk is over by then. I'm going to have to pick up the pace a little bit because I've walked a little bit too far from home today. I'll see you guys later.